Oh, hello, Leo. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If Leo is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember, Leo, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we've got the Hierophant. I don't know why, but before this reading started, I was thinking, I'm feeling like kind of a teacher or some kind of an educational vibe here for Leo. And I don't know if do you work in a school? What is your connection with learning or something right now? I don't feel like it's just the idea of you sort of at home learning and studying yourself. I feel like there's some sort of institution or a group that you're associated with. Yeah, that has something to do with wisdom. Maybe it could be some kind of a spiritual or religious organization. It could be a school or a university or some kind of trade school, or I guess it could be a book club, right? Something like this. There's something about the information being passed down, and I feel like you're a very important person there in that situation. I feel like you're somebody who really does love to learn, though. I feel like you're a very studious kind of person. And it may not be formal education for you, kind of in your history, but I feel that you really, you have a knowledge and a wisdom that surpasses most people. I feel like you know a lot about a lot of things. Maybe you're sort of specializing in one or two things, but I feel like you have a very broad knowledge, right? And Spirit's showing me something about a painting in your kitchen or a picture or something. There's something on the wall in your kitchen that is, you're supposed to look at it. I don't know why. I feel like you have a lot to teach people as well. I feel like in some way you're passing your knowledge on, or you're working on something right now that is meant to sort of pass something down, a wisdom kind of channel to the future, right? Something along these lines. I think you're the person that that a lot of people go to for help. If you can't figure something out, ask Leo. They probably know how to do it. I feel like you have a lot of practical knowledge too. Like, it's not just book learning, right? I feel like you know how to do things. You can fix the toilet, you can fix a car, you can probably send a rocket into space, right? You kind of you know really how to do a lot of things. Very hands-on. Very tactile. I think that you sort of learn by doing, and maybe now you're even sort of like transitioning into a period of teaching, of trying to pass on what you know. Maybe there's a challenge there, right? We'll put some cards around this energy and see what else we can. There's the Hermit. Interesting, because both are very wise energies, right? A lot of wisdom between these two. One kind of and in some ways, one doesn't want to be the teacher, right? Just kind of, this almost feels like a Zen master, right? One who kind of knows that they have to teach, but isn't out there formally telling people what's what. It's just kind of, if you ask the right questions, I'll tell you, So interesting there. We've got the Knight of Wands. We've got the Fool. We've got an 8. And I think the 8 of Pentacles is kind of like the wisdom tree. It sort of grows slowly and steadily over time. We've got to get the roots, And we've got the Death card, which is not a scary card. I want to get some sort of like haunted sound effects here. Every time we get the Death card, we can just play some eerie music. The Death card is not a bad card. Okay? The Death card to me really is talking about long-term changes over time. Right? Things that happen slowly and gradually, generation after generation. It's the way life continues, really. It's not really death. It's the card of life, right? It's the card of life sort of perpetuating life. And so I feel like you really are doing something that is going to be passed down, right, to future generations. It's something that's going to be meaningful not only now, but 1,000 years from now, you know. Interesting energy anyway. Very good cards. We've got the Sun card. We've got the Ace of Pentacles, a Six of Pentacles, and the High Priestess. I feel like it might be sort of mystical, magical, or spiritual, religious in nature, what you're doing. Maybe you're part of a spiritual organization or something like this, right? We're going to go ahead and select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown, and we're just going to set it down over here. We're going to put our octopus friend right on top. We need a name for the octopus. If you've got a name, a suggestion, leave it in the comments. If you want to take a guess or a prediction for that mystery card, put that down in the comments too. All right, let's do it together. Let's make it an interactive group exercise of intuition. All right. Now, who's wearing the funny hat? You're the hat person, or someone around you? Like, they always wear a lot of hats, and maybe they got a lot of different hats. But there's somebody with it's like always with the hats with them, right? And it's not that they're hiding some funky hair. It's just they like their hats. I don't know if it's a silly thing. If it's I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm seeing like a lot of hats, different kinds of hats. And maybe it's Spirit's way of illustrating that you wear a lot of hats, the proverbial hat. But let's take a look around the room first and see what we got as far as major arcana. This is I mean, a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 major arcana cards. That's rare. That's rare, right? And it's not very often that we get all major arcana on the horizontal plane. This is kind of, the horizontal plane is usually reserved for our sort of human, manifested, the mundane, earthly life stuff, right? And the vertical axis of the path of the dove is usually reserved for our spiritual quest, our sort of life path, something a little bit more abstract here, right? But we kind of have it backwards now. And what this is telling me, with all of the major arcana here in the horizontal world, is that you're sort of, you're seeing the divine in everything that you do. You're looking out horizontally around the circle of your life, and you're seeing God everywhere, right? That you are actually, you're manifesting the Spirit. You're manifesting the divine spiritual energy in the work, in the interactions that you have. So I feel like you're passing on some kind of spiritual wisdom out into the world. You're not just looking for your own spiritual ascent, but no, you're doing something that is kind of teaching or helping everybody on this manifested, plane that we're on, right? And so I think your spiritual work and your earthly work are the same. I feel like it is sort of one, And that seems very nice. Anyway, a lot of major arcana. You've got the sun and the moon up here, of course, which is, in this sense, it's sort of your conscious, rational, enlightened mind, and it's your sort of unconscious, intuitive, psychic mind, right? And we have both of those. And I think that really is the recipe for success, especially when we have an ace and a 6 of pentacles. Yeah, you got the right stuff, as they say, right? So anyway, a lot of major arcana. Very good major arcana cards. We have fire. We don't have any water. We don't have any air. But then we've got earth. Right? That's what we got. Fire and earth, with the assistance of Spirit. And so this is very rare. And I don't think I've ever seen the cards do this, because usually we get that fire and earth spiritual circuit of creation, right? Fire to earth, will to action, above to below, impulse to behavior, inspiration to implementation, right? Will to action, fire to earth. And that is the electrical circuit of creation, right? That's how we manifest. But we need a conductor. We got the idea, and then we've got the implementation, the manifestation of that idea. But we need the conductor. We need something to bring that together, right? And that's usually the human heart and mind, the water and the air. Now, the water and the air could also be kind of junked up and it's preventing that circuit from connecting. Or if our heart and mind is pure and balanced and clear, then it is a perfect conductor, right? We don't see any of that here. There's no water or air here. And so it almost feels like magic. I'm predicting magician for that mystery card. It feels like you're sort of bypassing the human heart and mind. That it almost as if spirit has just kind of taken over your body and is manifesting miracles. And I'm not trying to inflate your ego or anything like that. Because I feel like the ego is not really activated right now. I feel like something has sort of come over you, and it's almost the way an artist or a musician kind of gets into that zone, and they're just playing and improvising, and it's just this whirlwind of magic and beauty, and at the end they just say, I feel like that wasn't even me, I just feel like it was the music flowing through me. That's it. And this doesn't happen very often. Most of the time, these readings are all about, you've got some sort of obstacle, some sort of blockage, some sort of karma to work on. We've got to clear those blockages in our heart and mind so that we can manifest our goals, right? And maybe that's not an issue here. Maybe you've done that. Maybe that's kind of part of this fool energy we have in the background, that you are a pure soul right now. It could be that you have a very, very young soul that has not acquired very much karma yet. Right? It could be, I don't know, it could be that you are sort of a master that has returned in a way, all right? And again, I'm not trying to inflate the ego. I do my best to avoid that sort of thing, and that's why I don't use that kind of language very often, but this feels like a very special case. It feels like there's something very important that you're here to do. It feels like that, it feels as if you are sort of, that you're an emissary from the spirit. You're an ambassador from the spiritual realm, especially with this Fool card. I feel that there is some purity in you that, and because this, is air. This is pure air, right? So in a way, we've got the mind a little bit. We've got the soul, and there are no blockages here. There are no obstacles. There's no karma in here for you to correct, for you to work out or untie the knots. Okay? There's a purity in you that I think is allowing you to really manifest, to really transmit this wisdom, this magic, whatever it is, whatever your mission is. I don't know. The Hermit, the Fool, I think is wonderful energy in this. I mean, it's beautiful. The Hermit, on the other hand, kind of feels like there's a reluctance. It kind of feels as if it kind of is between these two. Okay, we have sort of the exoteric wisdom and knowledge and teaching, and then the esoteric, the hidden, the interior sort of wisdom or the interior teaching, right? The invisible school rather than the outer sort of order, right? The outer temple, the inner temple. So between these two, I feel that it is kind of that whatever you're doing, there is sort of the public outward part of it, and then there's something that's sort of, there's something being kept back, there's something reserved for only a few, or there's something that is kind of not meant for public consumption, and it could be that you are kind of involved in one of these spiritual orders, but I feel that there is sort of a reluctance, there's sort of a reluctance in your sort of teaching or your passing on of this knowledge, this wisdom, this gift, whatever this is exactly that you're doing. The Hermit seems a little bit withdrawn, right? Your obstacle now, I think, is for maybe to recognize that it's time for you to sort of reveal yourself as this master. Now, again, I don't want to blow smoke at you or inflate your ego. So what if this is a situation at work or at school or at home where you have sort of figured things out, where you have sort of, you've achieved a certain level of mastery, okay? And yet, you're just sort of keeping it to yourself, It's just kind of like Spirit is telling you it's your job to teach. It's your job to sort of, to to shed this cloak of concealment that you're wearing and reveal yourself as this blazing spiritual sun, right? This illuminator. So I wonder if there's some sort of position that you're being called to, some sort of mission or some sort of purpose that you're being called to fulfill, but there's a reluctance in you. There's sort of this, it goes against your human nature a little bit, that maybe you kind of, I don't know, maybe there's a humility, maybe there's just a, I don't know, it's a reluctance to put yourself out there. Okay? And I think it's time that you threw this cloak off and you reveal yourself as the, as the shining star of this thing. Okay? Because whatever you're working on, whatever it is, whatever the situation is in this horizontal realm, it's going to be something that's changing people's lives. The Death card in the future position, you're changing the course of reality. This is you on the sort of bleeding edge of consciousness. You're cutting a new path. You're forging a new timeline. You're creating a new future for the rest of us, it feels like. Or at least within the context of your world. If it's a family thing, if it's work, if it's something school, you're changing the course of this whole thing. Okay? You're bringing this whole organization down a new path. And it's kind of like Spirit is saying, this is your job, this is your duty. You have to emerge as this teacher. I don't want to say a leader really, but there is some leadership to it. It's kind of like we need your guidance to how to navigate this unknown future. Yeah. And this is wild. This is unlike any reading that we've ever really had. Underneath, we've got this rather impulsive Knight of Wands, and it's fire and fire, right? And I think that it's kind of like, it's almost a caution, It almost is kind of like you're kind of nervous about trusting the flow of your energy. Because this the horse and the rider, and the horse is going to kind of carry us away, and we're going to have to be conscious and confident and hold the reins, and we're going to have to trust the horse is going to have to trust us. And I just feel it's kind of like you're not really ready to sort of jump on that and just be whisked away. And so in that sense, maybe there is this little bit of not really a karmic thing that has to be worked out, but I think just a little bit of reluctance. We have to sort of cross this threshold, and once we get started, I think it's going to happen fast. It's going to be like a whirlwind. The horse is going to just rush off with you. And it's kind of like, trusting Spirit. It's sort of trusting the unconscious. It's the sun and the moon conjoined, right? It is the horse and the rider, and it's just, as soon as you jump on that horse, the horse is going to take off. So you're just kind of like, okay, all right, I'm ready. I think I'm ready, We've got to take that leap, We've got to get on that horse and allow this thing to whisk you away. Things are going to take off. Things are going to happen very, very quickly once they get started. And it's about just sort of crossing that threshold and starting it, And it's kind of like you're going from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour like that. And so it's just kind of like you're tiptoeing over to the horse because as soon as you jump on it, it's like a cartoon. As soon as you jump on it, bing, it's gone. All right. So, there's some caution there. And the Eight of Pentacles is sort of the opposite of the Knight of Wands, right? This is all impulsive, just flying away, just being carried off and rushing forward. This is slow. This is sort of a mosey, right? Where this is a racing gallop. This is just kind of strolling along, And so there's sort of a juxtaposition between those energies, and maybe it is maybe it's something that we're consciously looking at, saying, okay, this has to be done right. We've got to make sure we put down roots. This thing has to be strong and firm. We don't want to just get carried away and make a mistake, So we've got to try to slow things down and speed things up at the same time. And it's it's contradictory. It's sort of a paradox, right? By going faster, how do we slow down, Maybe it's really saying that slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right? That by doing things the right way is actually going to help us go faster. Okay, so it might be that we get on the horse and we just get rushed off into this thing and swept up into this big whirlwind of energy. But maybe it is sort of your conscious awareness that you've got to still slow down and do things right. Do things step by step, be calm and be attentive and be diligent in your work. Okay? I wonder if this has something to do with you really sort of establishing yourself somewhere. Like literally setting down roots, even if it's in a career, establishing yourself in a particular area of study or a particular industry in the world, right? Something along these lines, yeah? Maybe it's kind of the idea of you kind of getting tenured at a university or something like this, or taking on a teaching position somewhere, or sort of accepting that role as the sort of headmaster of something. It's a whole world that's just going to be a swirl of energy and excitement and fanfare and chaos, really. And in the midst of all of that, it's your job then to sort of to build this thing up. You're saying, how can I do that when this thing just takes off just like that? How could I be expected to build something up in a very strong and hearty way? We don't want this to sort of die off in a couple of years. We want this to last. We want this to be the grand, million-year-old, oak tree, the world tree, right? How do we? And that's, I think, kind of what you're facing. But the death card in the future position is very, very interesting, because it is kind of saying that you're at the edge of this bubble of consciousness, and everything that you do, every choice that you make, is kind of bringing the consciousness outward, expanding awareness. And we were just talking to Virgo about this the other day. We're all conscious at the same time right now, right? We're all at this sort of the bleeding edge, the cutting edge of consciousness. And everything that we do, every beat of our heart, every breath we take, every moment, every thought we have is altering the course of our future, right? Is changing the nature of reality. Maybe this will be a tower card over here in the mystery card. So it's, I think it's very important that you take this seriously, whatever you're doing, because it is something that's changing the course. And it's kind of like you're in the jungle with the machete and you're just you're creating the path as you go. We all are. I think this is something that you're doing kind of fully informed, right? That everything I'm saying to you, you're like, yes, sir, I know. I don't feel like I'm telling you anything that isn't already front and center in your consciousness. Maybe it's just a little reminder. Maybe this is a little nudge from Spirit. What we're going to do is take a look at the path of the serpent. Now, this is really, really good energy. This kind of goes without talking. We don't even really need to talk about it, but we will. And I will ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And it really does help the channel. And I appreciate that. We need to really support all of our favorite YouTube tarot readers, not just my channel, but everybody that you love and appreciate. All right? Things are tough out here. All right? Anyway, Sun card. Yeah, you're fully illuminated. That's your general energy. You can see all this already. You can see the past and the future. And maybe the Fool back here in the past, and with the Sun card sort of looking at all of this, maybe the Sun card is looking at the Fool and saying, that was a past life. And maybe the Fool is really not the beginning of the path, right? Of the spiritual path, right? The Fool maybe not talking about the beginning, the just starting out of the path. Maybe the Fool is saying, this is the end of the path. that the fool has already been through. I said that maybe you were like a very young soul or like a new soul. Maybe that's not it at all. Maybe you're a very, very old soul. And maybe the Sun card is sort of your ability to look back at all of your lifetimes, to see how it all worked up, all the karma that you had to sort of work on to get to this point of purity and clarity, and this sort of transcendence. Maybe this is the end. Maybe this is the result of all of those lifetimes of karmic work, karmic debt, karmic cycles, and all this stuff. And this is the purity that has resulted. So maybe you are a very, very old soul. Yeah. Because the Sun card, I think, is you able to see billions of years, infinite years forward and backwards. Nothing is hidden from you. I think sometimes you have to look within to see where the shadow. You see, the Sun card illumines everything. No shadow can hide from the Sun card. It's kind of like when you're this flashlight. Shadows don't stand a chance. Nothing stays hidden from you, except you got to know where to look. If you got a flashlight, you're just pointing it at the ceiling. You think, yeah, well, I can't see in that corner or that corner. There's a shadow here, here, and here. Well, you got to know where to point the flashlight, right? So when we say that the sun chases away all the shadows, yes, but it has to look in that direction, and then the shadows are gone. So it's kind of, the conscious mind has to know where to look. Once you look, you will see. And I think in a large part where you look is within you. You look into your third eye, right? You look into the spiritual realm, into the unconscious, into the imagination, into the spirit world, the dream world even perhaps. Okay? And if we look at that, we kind of have a fully illumined conscious mind, and we have a fully opened third eye. The high priestess is the widening psychic aperture. It is the waxing moon. This is a full moon energy now. Full sun illumination, full moon illumination. Okay? And this is rare. This is really rare. And what they are both showing you, conscious and unconscious, the light of day and the sort of, the nighttime world, whatever, however you want to talk about this sort of duality, it's showing you the way to create success, the way to achieve this, whatever it is whatever your mission is, whatever this path is, going from an ace to a 6, from the beginning, from taking the first step, which is what we saw here, crossing that threshold, and the way that as soon as you get on the horse, it's going to just run wild, right? And in all of that, you've got to try to slow things down enough to focus on the roots, to get this thing nurtured and nourished so that it can grow properly, all right? And when things are going this fast, it takes a magical effort to slow your perception down. It's kind of like if we were really aware of how fast we were hurtling through space. I don't know how fast we're going, right? Millions of miles an hour, whatever. Kilometers, I don't know. However fast we're going through space. If we perceived it that way, we'd be nuts, right? We wouldn't be able to do anything. We wouldn't be able to exist and have a thought even. We wouldn't be able to get anything done, right? It would be chaos, just in terms of our mind, our perception, right? So what we do is we experience life at a slower pace. And it's almost, we can kind of do this consciously as human beings too. We can sort of slow our minds down, slow our breathing down, and it feels like the world slows down, And there are other ways of achieving this sort of slowdown of time perception. But the idea is that in this millions of miles an hour, and if we think about the atoms and the electrons and everything, our world is buzzing with, light speed activity all around us. But I can slow down and experience the world in a much more calm and slow way. 8 of Pentacles, right? So it doesn't have to be, and I think that's kind of the conscious effort, that maybe you're not actually slowing things down, but we're adjusting our perception enough so that you can see the details. It's the same way, when you're looking at a ceiling fan. I got a ceiling fan up top. When you just perceive a fan and it's spinning fast, you don't really see the blades. But if you do something with your eyes or your mind or whatever, you can sort of see one blade going around. And maybe it's just focusing on that one blade. And then it looks like it sort of slows down and you can perceive it, right? And do the same thing. Try it with a fan, right? Sort of the same thing we're talking about between these two cards. But anyway, that first step that you take is going to succeed. It's going to lead to this perfection. This is the best day of your life. This is material success. This is a winner, right? This is a winner. And I think it requires both of your ultimately your spiritual faculties. Yeah. This is so extraordinary. I want to give an angel number card here for you. I think in a very practical way, Spirit's telling you to not overspend your money or your resources, energy, time, space, be a little conservative with your spending, and some financial assistance is going to be coming in for you, okay? But as soon as you sort of start the ball rolling, things are really going to pick up and you're going to see that it's going to be very prosperous for you. So this isn't just all about this sort of abstract, theoretical, spiritual kind of thing. There's a very practical side to this, and I think whatever you're doing, it will have financial benefits for you. But you've got to start it. You got to start, it's kind of like you're not going to get paid until you actually start working. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be okay in that aspect. But let's give you an angel number card. 2002, the void. Longing, technology, ambition, genius, forward thinking, stress, and depression. You have more control over your life than you realize. Learn and execute what interests you. Turn things around. It gets better with time. There are plenty of friends to make, so chill out, have fun, and open up. Go outside. I like that. I like that. Maybe this is a suggestion that we're sort of taking things too seriously. You show me a truly spiritual person, and you'll and that'll be somebody with a good sense of humor. The ability to to chuckle at life, to laugh at ourselves, to laugh at our human condition a little bit, right? I think humor is definitely a defining characteristic of spiritual enlightenment. It is interesting with the Ace of Pentacles and this idea of sort of making friends, of there's plenty of friends to make, go have fun, go. And it really is with this Ace, and it's in the position of the environment, it's in the position of the relationships. It's kind of saying, go outside, right? Go start some relationships. Begin this process of connecting with people in your horizontal world, because you have a lot of wisdom to share. And a lot of good ideas that I think can, maybe make a lot of people a lot of money, right? But it's not just the financial stuff is not the central focus for you. I feel like you're going to be taken care of in terms of your physical needs, resources, But this is a higher purpose for you. Now I want to look at the mystery card over here. I got this new dragon. I don't quite know where to put it. Maybe over here. Okay. What do we need here? Well, we could get some water or some air, heart and mind, see what's going on there. If anything, I think we'll get a 5 of Swords. Okay. Otherwise, I feel like it'll probably be more major arcana or more fire energy. If you have a prediction, though, put it down in the comments. Let's see what we have. It's the Star, yes, the major arcana. And the Star card is perfect because the Star card does 2 things. First, it illuminates you within. It shows you where your buttons are, shows you where your karmic knots are, shows you what you need to work on within your soul. And once you start to do that work, then some of that light spills out into the world around you. And you've heard me say this many times. It's sort of the two-part operation of the Star card. And that second part is when the light spills out into the world around you and you see your path. and you follow that path, and that's destiny, that's fate, right? And sometimes this card is really about you kind of taking the water energy, taking the spiritual, spiritual waters, right? And it's kind of like we're dumping them on the earth. And, you take a pitcher of water, you pour it on some dry ground, some dry dirt, and what does it do? It kind of pools up a little bit, but there are some little streams that sort of flow out from the middle. Those are your paths, right? Those are the various paths that you take to get to sort of where you're going. It's kind of illustrating that the destiny is not in exactly what you're doing, but how and why you're doing it. And yeah, maybe the destination is going to be the same in the end, but there are many paths, many roads, many streams that will take you to that destination. Okay. But I think this card is a big confirmation of the work that you've been doing in your spiritual life. I think it's confirming that the Fool has managed to complete this process of sort of emptying out the soul of all the sort of the karmic knots, right? You've done the work on all those buttons. So the first phase is complete, and now maybe that we're on to the second phase. Spirit is showing you the path forward, and it's just a matter of you following that path now, right? That you're on phase 2 of the star energy. This is a big-time confirmation. We've never had a reading like this before, and I hope that it means something to you. I hope that you find some benefit in this. All right. Now, we're going to do an extended reading, too. If you want to stick around, there's a link up top. There's one down below. New readings for Leo Tuesdays and Saturdays. Be sure to watch both readings. Both are very important. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It is totally free, does not cost anything. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.